podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to anfieldindexpro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on a joyous Monday, on which nothing is happening yet, but I believe we will hear of things in the next week or two. I really do believe that with the two major international tournaments now over and out of the way, we will start to hear more about Liverpool being active, looking at certain players, making moves for certain players. And I think people's moods will lift. Now, the whole world's mood lifted yesterday when Spain defeated England in the Euro 2021 final by 2-1. Miguel Oyarzabal with the 86th minute winner to end English hopes. England did not deserve to win this competition. Spain's victory was a victory for football, a victory for trying to win matches, not going out with the mindset of, let's not lose. Spain were the best team throughout. They had a historically hard run to the final, and they were the better team in every single game they played. England had a historically easy run to the final. They were not the better team in any game other than the Serbia game, which was their first game in the competition, and they deserved to lose. Joe Gomez did not play a single minute in this tournament. Trent played 69 minutes against Serbia in the opening game. He played 54 minutes against Denmark in the second game. And he played, including stoppage time, roughly 11 minutes in the Slovenia game. So that's the group stage. He did not play at all against Slovakia in the round of 16. In the quarterfinals, he came on, played the last 6 minutes of extra time, and obviously scored the final penalty. And then against the Netherlands, he did not play a single minute. And in the final, he did not play a single minute. Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the 3 best English footballers on the planet. And this is how he's been treated. This should be a scandal. Genuinely, this should be a scandal. Not a single minute against Slovakia. 6 minutes against Switzerland. Not a single minute against the Dutch, and not a single minute in the final. For an England team struggling to create anything. England had a lower XG for the entire tournament than Croatia, who went out in the group stage. Kyle Walker was picked at right back ahead of Trent for defensive reasons. Kyle Walker was completely to blame for the Slovakia goal when he played everybody onside. He was to blame for the Switzerland goal when he failed to deal with Breel Mbolo and allowed Mbolo to get goal side of him. He didn't cover himself in glory for the Xavi Simons goal when he failed to close down Xavi Simons. And in the final, he was at fault largely for the second goal, by being out of position when the ball was played out to Cucurella and then failing to stop the cross. He's also at fault in the first goal, though I don't think as much as people are making out. I actually think that first goal is more on Luke Shaw than it is on Kyle Walker, because if you go back and watch, when Ruiz fires that ball into Danny Carvajal, there's no way Luke Shaw can get to Carvajal. But he goes to him anyway. Carvajal plays it round him very nonchalantly to Lamine Yamal, who's now in space. And because Luke Shaw has left Yamal, Mark Wehi has to come to meet Yamal. That then leaves John Stones with Morata. Morata makes a really good run. Knowing he's not getting the ball, it's a run to create space. Comes across, so Stones comes from right side centre-back to left side centre-back following Morata. Walker's the right back. He's now stuck because there's a runner coming from midfield and Kobbie Mainoo hasn't tracked that runner. And Nico Williams is left side. And Yamal is moving into the middle of the park. If Walker stays left, Yamal feeds that midfield runner who's striding into the box completely unopposed and is going to score. Walker comes narrow to cut that midfielder off. Yamal, being the incredibly intelligent 17-year-old that he is now, plays the ball to Williams. Walker tries to recover, can't get there, and it's a goal. But it all starts with Luke Shaw making a brainless decision to go and press Danny Carvajal. But still, nonetheless, Walker doesn't cover himself in glory. So that's 3 goals where he's at fault. Slovakia, Switzerland, and Spain second. And 2 where he's partially to blame. 5 goals in a 7-game span. But yet Trent is a defensive liability. And this is the bullshit that we're pushed to listen to by the likes of Gary Neville, who began this whole agenda against Trent as a defender. On Monday Night Football, going back years, he did about 15 minutes on Trent being a poor defender. This is the same Trent who on 3 different occasions has been part of the best defensive group in the Premier League. On 2 different occasions, part of the best defence in all of Europe. It would have been 3 times in all of Europe, except that we won the league so early in 1920 that we conceded a bunch of goals after the restart, notably the City game, and that knocked our number a little bit, but we were still the best defence in England. I think City conceded less goals than us that year, but nobody would argue we weren't the best defence in England. And yet Kyle Walker, we've heard all along, well, he's in the team for Mbappe. He's in the team to stop Mbappe. Right. England didn't play Mbappe in this tournament. Will we look at the left wingers that England played? So against Serbia played with wing-backs, and Filip Kostic was the left wing-back. Trent meant to be scared of him. Against Denmark, they also played wing-backs, and Christiansen was the wing-back. Is he going to give Trent a roasting? They played Slovenia. Jan Lacher. He's a striker playing out of position on the wing. Trent going to get roasted by him? Slovakia. Well, they didn't really play with wingers, but they had Harislan playing on the left. Don't think Trent's going to be too worried about him. The Swiss, they played wing-backs as well. Abisha is going to roast Trent? Really? What about the Netherlands? Cody Gakpo. He's not going to cause Trent many problems at all. Because you see, the guys that cause Trent problems are the guys that run at him at pace. That's not what Cody does. Cody cuts in field. You don't see Cody knock it outside a fullback and burn him down the wing. That's where Trent gets done. Martinelli does him that way. Kvaratskhelia destroyed him that way. Mitoma destroyed him that way. Going outside of him, burning him down the touchline. That's where Trent has had some issues. But none of these guys that England played in the run to the final were ever going to do that. Now you get to the final and you've got Nico Williams, and he is exactly the prototype of winger that causes Trent problems. However, while there's been those three examples of players that have roasted Trent, there's many examples of Trent. Vinicius Jr. did it as well, by the way. So there's four. There's four wingers that have really roasted Trent. Trent has also played against Martinelli and taken him out of games. He's also played against Mitoma and marked him out of games. He's also played against Vinicius and marked him out of games. And Nico Williams destroyed Kyle Walker last night. So, what is it that Walker did that Trent couldn't do? People talk about that Champions League final in 2022, and Trent just switches off for that split second at the back post and Vinicius sneaks in to score. How's that any different to what we saw Breland Bolo do? Walker allows those goals as well. And what's forgotten about from that final in 2022 is that for the rest of the game, for the other 94 minutes and 58 seconds, Trent locked down Vinicius Jr. Did he have help? Absolutely. Ibu gave him a great dig out. Absolutely he did. But he did it. And yet, we're meant to believe that Kyle Walker is a better defender than Trent. Kyle Walker runs faster than Trent. That is the only thing on a football field that Kyle Walker does better than Trent. Maybe he might be better in the air because he's 6'1" and Trent is like 5'9", 5'10". Kyle Walker is a better athlete than Trent. Trent is better at all the actual football stuff. Trent is now turning 26 this year. He is undeniably the best right back on the planet. Now, there's been some fuckery the last two seasons, obviously, with his position. He didn't have a good season 22-23. Nobody would deny that. He was pretty dreadful from start to finish until he got moved into that midfield role. And then of the, I think, 10 games he played in there, he was good in 8 of them. Last season, he had, I would say, a decent season overall. Certainly not a world-class season. But again, the fuckery with the position I don't think helped anybody. Trent is a right back. He might want to be a midfielder. But the best thing Trent can be for any club he plays for is a right back. And it reminds me a lot of the David Beckham conundrum that United went through 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago now. Beckham wanted to play in central midfield, but Beckham was much better on the right of midfield than he was in the middle of the park. And Alex Ferguson had a decision to make. And what we've seen Liverpool do is we've kind of seen them pander to Trent. And we've seen them go, okay, we want you to be the right back, but we're going to allow you to play in midfield. So you're going to do both. What Ferguson did was he told Beckham, you can either play on the right or you don't play at all. And as soon as Trent signs his new deal, which I think he's going to, as soon as he signs that new deal, Liverpool should sit him down and say, you can either play right back or you can leave. But now we have you under contract and we're going to sell you at the highest possible price. You're the best right back in the world. You're not a top 20 midfield player in the world. why would we play you in midfield? He's the best right back on the planet. And yet, we're in a situation where at almost 26, he is not established as England's starting right back. That is ridiculous. There's no other country on the planet that he wouldn't be the starting right back for. There just isn't. There's no other country where 6 years into his international career, he'd only have 29 caps. It is absolutely farcical. Like, what really gets me is that we all know as well that yesterday, if Kyle Walker had needed to come off, Trent wasn't coming on. Kieran Trippier was coming on. He is the third choice England right back. And arguably the only reason he's third choice is because Reece James is injured. He would probably be Southgate's fourth choice right back, which is absolutely insane, considering how much better than each of those players he is. Now, Reece James is a very good player. He's not as good as Trent. Kyle Walker's average. He's not as good as Trent. And Kieran Trippier's flat out bad, and he's not nearly as good as Trent. And yet, in the mind of this buffoon, Trent is his fourth choice right back. And he will argue that he gave Trent his chance and Trent didn't take it. And when he took him out of the team, England got to the final. That is what he will argue, and that is what his defenders will argue. And it's horseshit. It's absolute horseshit. You are weakening your team by not playing your best players in their best positions. And Trent isn't the only one that wasn't been played in his best position. I mean, Jude Bellingham was playing off the left so that Phil Foden could play as a 10. When Phil Foden's been dreadful in the tournament. Harry Kane was dreadful in the tournament. Jude was pretty poor in the tournament. Declan Rice was poor in the tournament. Saka was okay. Mainu was decent against the Dutch. Garbage yesterday. Looked miles out of his depth. How Adam Wharton wasn't starting every game for England, I just don't understand. Shaw did okay yesterday for a player that was only back from injury. Trippier was shite in the tournament. Walker's crap all tournament. Pickford was okay, I suppose. I think the only England starters that really come out of this competition with any credit are Guehi, Stones, and I think Saka, because he played as a wing-back for a bunch of games and did so on the right when he's left-footed. I understand he plays as a right winger, but it's different to play as a wing-back because you're more expected to get outside and cross. But Southgate's entire tactical plan was just horrendous from minute one to the very last minute of the game of the tournament. And then you've got people like Jamie Carragher coming out and saying, well, it's not about the manager at international level, which is it's just foolish. Like, if he wants to argue that managers aren't the reason you win tournaments, I'll listen to that argument. But there's no argument to be made that managers can't lose you a tournament. Because if it was just about the players, France would have won Euro 2016, World Cup in 2018, Euro 2020, the World Cup in 22, and this Euros. They would have. France have that much more talent than everybody else. And Didier Deschamps is the primary reason they continue to fail. I did think his argument against De La Fuente was a bit ignorant. Oh, nobody'd ever heard of him before. Well, if you were paying attention to Spanish football, you probably had, because he was managing the under-19s and then the 21s. But fair enough, I will take it that a lot of people had never heard of him before. But he's worked with some of these players since the under-19 level. Like, he's had a lot of this squad for a long time. He's developed really good connections with them. But he's also developed himself as a coach. And what he did in this tournament was absolutely fantastic. They won all 7 games. They had a historically hard run. They beat Croatia, they beat Italy, they beat Germany, they beat France, and now they beat England. They beat Albania and Georgia in the other 2 games. Albania with a heavily rotated team, and Georgia, they swept them aside after going a goal behind. But what he did was masterful. He put his players in positions to succeed. And let's not forget, that was Spain going into the tournament without Gavi and Alejandro Balde, 2 of the best young players in the world, 2 likely starters. He then lost Pedri in tournament. He doesn't have an ideal centre-back pairing. Like, there are not 2 outstanding Spanish centre-backs. He had Marc Cucurella playing left-back, who's coming off 2 bad seasons with Chelsea. Now, he's a player I do think is a good player, and he was really good at Getafe, really good at Brighton, but, not coming in elite form or elite confidence. He had 2 really young wingers, one of whom was 16 for all bar the final. And he had he had a number 9 who doesn't score goals, and yet he found a way to win. And there's just no way you can look at the England squad and say that it's not more talented than the Spanish squad. There's just no way. Marc Guehi's better than any Spanish centre-back. I would still take Laporte over Stones, but it's very close. So I would say England have the better pair of centre-backs. Pickford versus Simon, it's probably a bit of a coin toss. I prefer Simon. I think he's a little bit less thick. So I prefer him, but again, coin toss. Trent is better than Danny Carrigan. He just is. Joe Gomez is a better left-back defensively than Marc Cucurella. So that could have been England's back 4. Trent, Stones, Guehi, and Gomez. The midfield double pivot could have been Rice and Wharton. It's not as good as Rodri and Ruiz, but it's at least comparable. And when you add Jude as a 10 versus Pedri as a 10, I think it gets a little bit closer. Bukayo Saka, at this point, is a better player than Lamine Yamal. Anthony Gordon is not a better player than Nico Williams. Nico Williams is a better footballer than Anthony Gordon. But the wings are about even. The midfield, it's advantage Spain. The defence, it's advantage England. The goalkeeper's about a coin toss. But Harry Kane is much better than Alvaro Morata. Ivan Toney is much better than Alvaro Morata. Ollie Watkins is much better than Alvaro Morata. England had an 11 there that could have been better than Spain's, and Southgate didn't even consider it. What a gobshite. Okay, enough on that. We did get one winner yesterday, though. And unfortunately for Luis Diaz, it was not him. He was on the losing side as Colombia were defeated 1-0 by Argentina in the Copa America final. Lautaro Martinez with the only goal of the game in the 112th minute. Ali McAllister played 97 minutes and was then replaced by Giovanni Lo Celso, who would actually play the assist for the winning goal. But McAllister was very good in the final itself, doing all the Alexis McAllister things, just filling the gaps, knitting things together, making the right decision. He's such a good player. And Alexis McAllister is 25. He's 2 months younger than Trent. he plays for a team that has now won the Copa America, the World Cup, and the Copa America, therefore making them the second team ever to win 3 international tournaments in a row. If you want to count the Finalissima, they're the most successful international team ever, this group. And he's won 31 caps for Argentina, despite getting capped a year later than Trent, despite not becoming... He got capped in 2019, then didn't get capped again until 2022. So he's won 29 caps in the last 3 years, and Trent has won 29 caps in the last 6 years. Alexis was not part of that Copa America squad in 2021, but he was part of the World Cup winning squad in 2022. He was part of the squad for the Finalissima in 2022, and he has played another huge role here, like he did in the World Cup in their win at this Copa. Like, what an incredible international career he's had. Molly's not too impressed. I'm not going to check the main websites today. I'll just have a quick look at Anfield Index. Exclusive former Liverpool star names one valuable difference between Arne Slot and Jurgen Klopp. There's a piece about Coutinho. There's a piece about Alisson. A piece about Gonçalo Inacio. And then podcast-wise, there is a new minefield, so go and check that out, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.